So basically, what we do is my partner Goran Štetić and I, we do electronic music, but most of it is dance music. So basically, it needs to be functional, and the function of it, of course, is the dance. See reactions of people, and then maybe even change some things. That doesn't mean that necessarily we're slaves to people who come and dance on the party. That just means that we're trying to make the music as functional as possible. Also, we're trying to use some new tricks to do it, some arrangements, some new forms of arrangements, and we just check it out. Does it work? Because if people really can dance to it, there's really no point of having like a strong beat in a track.
And Malcolm brought you here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that how it works? How's this whole scene? Malcolm, tell me how this whole scene works here.
Well, basically, Jamin and myself hear about DJs, and we met Ludvig in New York City and May at this big Tip Records party that he came over for to visit one of his friends, Yaniv, who was playing at this party, and we met. And we really liked him, and we liked his music, and Jamie and I wanted to have him come out and visit us this summer.
How long have you been putting these on? What do you call these? Are these called raves? Is that what they're?
Nah, we don't really like to call them raves.
Right.
It's sort of a bad word.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just.
Why is it a bad word?
It's just an overused word.
Yeah.
I think, and we'd rather just call them dance parties. Jamie and I started doing these parties in 1990. This year we're 1993. Music has always changed over the years, but house music and electronic music and all that music has been around for a long time. I've been putting on parties since 1983, actually my first electronic DJ music party, but of course it was more new wave, the beginnings of house music. Damir and I bring great DJs here, but it's the crowd and the people that come to the parties on Nantucket that makes Nantucket such a great place. We could bring the best DJs in the world to Nantucket, but if people aren't into it, if people don't come, the party sucks.
Right.
So it's the people in Nantucket that make the parties so great.
So where are you from?
Croatia.
You are. How are things in Croatia these days?
It's a great country. It's a great place to live.
It's beautiful too, right? It has incredible coastline.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, the coastline is it has over 1,000 islands, which is great. You can travel by boats around those islands, and there's so many islands where nobody lives.
Yeah.
It's
I've heard it's like one of the most serpentine in and out places in the world, seacoasts. So that's where you're from. Are you from?
I'm not from the coast. I'm from the central part, but there are also other beautiful parts, and Croatia is really diverse.
Now let me ask you about the music in Europe.
Okay.
The differences. Are Europeans dancing more to this kind of music than Americans? Is it hotter there, more fashionable, or whatever, more in?
I think I feel much more enthusiasm when I come here to US. So I kind of feel there's some things are still fresh around here. But also there are parties in Europe where I played. In Switzerland, for example, I play there, and if you play like groovier, softer music, people go off. But for example, in Italy, you have to play a little faster, maybe a little bit more melodic, depending on the crowd.
Oh, really? So each country has its own little.
I want to bring the fresh energy. Okay, so the music we produce, I prefer calling it electronic music because basically what me and my partner, what we have in mind is having influences from other forms of music, even classical music. When we produce it, we basically use computer. The way we do it, some people do everything on computer. We use computer only to sequencing the samplers and sequencing the synthesizers. I think the most important thing about DJing is not this beat matching, it's selection of tracks, it's selection of music. If you play good music, that works, period. And also, you have to think about the people that actually pay to hear you play. So you have to look at them and see how they react and think about what they think about what you play. And that way you build up the vibe and go into direction they want to go, but sometimes you also put them in direction you want them to go, or introduce some new music that's going to be that they're going to want to hear in like 6 months or something like that. It's all about like there's no way you can have a climax if there's no like abstination. So you have to relax a little bit to get the energy. So I made this pause, and it's also like, hey people, you should be happy that you're hearing this music, you know? And then they're like confused, hey, what's happening, you know? What are we doing here? There's no music, something's wrong. Basically, I gave them some rest, just rest for a while, and now we're coming back again. Maybe, who knows, maybe I could put some propaganda messages like drink this beer or whatever in the meantime. So I'll be back after this messages.
Exactly. The whole thing about the energy, it's all about release. Is that right, Malcolm? Is it?
Sure.
Yeah. Because you just can't stop moving.
In the music.
You do. I was a little tired when I showed up there last night. As soon as I got there,
The music gives you energy.
It does. Can we talk a little bit about some of the other offshoot cultural things that are happening? Just kind of specifically drugs. Is it happening? Is it?
The thing that
should we know something?
I think that the bad thing, like that the raves, that in general is all this publicity about the drug use. Where look at every generation. Look at the '60s. I mean, everybody was doing acid, smoking weed, doing whatever they were doing in the '60s. In the '70s, everybody was doing cocaine and doing drugs. In the '80s, it's the same way. So it's like they label the rave scene as this big drug culture when sure there's drugs, but there's drugs in anywhere you go. There's drugs in any bar that you go to, in any party that you go to, in any rock concert that you go to. So I think the whole rave, quote rave, that's why I don't like the word rave.
Yeah, right.
It just labels it as this drug-infested party where it's not at all. There's so much good energy at raves or at dance parties.
You don't need drugs to have a good time.
Everyone doesn't need drugs to have a good time.
Exactly.
And it's just it brings so many different people together, especially the parties on Nantucket. It's multicultural. It's just so many different people in dancing. It brings people together, which is a great thing,
You bet.